I'm not controlled by no set, not loyal to no party, not loyal to nobody's telling me what to do. And that really is when you gain your greatest ability to manifest. That's when you truly are carrying the power of God, because you become God of your own universe.
Look down, I see the stars. Look down, I see the stars. Look down, I see the stars.
Good morning, everyone. This is Attorney Daryl E. Robinson. Welcome to another episode of Justice Unveiled. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the Fulton County District Attorney, Fani Willis. Fani Willis, we'll give you some background on Fani Willis. Fani Willis was born in Inglewood, California. Her parents moved to Washington, D.C. Sometime after that, her father and mother separated. Her mother moved back to California. Her father was actually a criminal defense attorney in that area. Fani Willis graduated from high school in the state of Maryland, matriculated to Howard University, where she majored in political science and graduated with high honors. From there, she matriculated to Emory Law School, and upon receiving her law degree, started practicing law in the Georgia area, even at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. She ultimately arose to Chief Judge of the Municipal Division. In 2021, Fani Willis ran against her former boss, Paul Howard, for the Fulton County District Attorney. And upon entering office, she started an investigation into Donald Trump's attempt to influence the election in Georgia. And during that investigation, there were about 75 witnesses that were interviewed. There was a grand jury convened. And from that investigation, 19 individuals, including Donald Trump, were indicted. We talked about that indictment in a former podcast. So if you haven't seen it, go back and take a look at that. After the indictments came down, Fani Willis ended up retaining an attorney called Nathan Wade. Now, Nathan Wade or his associates or law firm would actually have been retained. One individual is not going to be able to try a case of this magnitude involving 19 people, 75 witnesses, thousands of documents, and those 75 witnesses as a result of the grand jury. This case has been going on for 2 years. There's no telling how many witnesses have been made available up to this particular point, in addition to the 75. And so this case has been tried for about 2 years now. It's not actually on trial, but the investigation has been going on for 2 years. They've probably been interviewing witnesses, looking at documents. But recently, one of the attorneys for the defendants filed a motion alleging that, in fact, prior to Nathan Wade being retained as a special prosecutor, that he and Fani Willis had a relationship. So there's been a series of hearings that have been going on to determine whether or not there's a conflict of interest involved. There's a separate hearing going on in front of the presiding judge. And then recently there was a couple of complaints filed with the Ethics Board from Fulton County. So they have to look at those complaints. Now, the issue is whether or not there's a conflict of interest. Even if under Georgia law, there may not be a conflict of interest or may not be a conflict of interest, if there is an appearance of a conflict of interest, you're supposed to err on the side of caution, even under the American Bar Association rules. And so we have to determine whether or not a conflict of interest exists. They have given testimony at a hearing and said that they weren't involved in a relationship as far as that is concerned prior to him being retained. There's been a recent filing. I think initially he testified that he had only been over her condominium 10 times. There's been a recent filing that suggests that his phone records were discovered, and in his phone records, it was pinged about 100 times in that area. That doesn't necessarily mean he was lying under oath. That means he could have just been meeting her at a restaurant, a bar, or anything in that area. I know based on my previous dating experience, before I got married, I met young ladies all the time out before I even brought them over for a number of times, for coffee, for drinks, or for dinner. So that doesn't necessarily mean he was lying about being over her house 10 times. The real issue is whether or not there was a relationship before he was retained, and whether or not that relationship influenced him being selected as special prosecutor as opposed to someone else. However, at the same time, with this being such a important case, and the reason it is important is that if this case was on a fast track to trial, it's been going on for 2 years. Out of all the special prosecutors she could have hired, why would she hire someone that she has a relationship with or the appearance of some relationship with? She's allegedly a Democrat, and this is actually, no pun intended, is a trump card. If he gets convicted prior to the November election, there's a great chance he can't run for president. So now, as a result, people say, well, it's a big deal. We remove him as special prosecutor, we go and get another special prosecutor. Understand this. There is no special prosecutor who can come in and try this case in a short period of time. This investigation has been going on for 2 years, and they've been preparing for trial. Any special prosecution worth his or her salt is at least got a calendar year full of cases or trials right now. So they had to come in, they had to look at the grand jury transcripts from all the 75 witnesses, in addition to any interviews or statements taken since Nathan Wade has had the case. They had to bring in their own team. That team has to have a calendar clear in order to be able to try this case. So basically the end result, if in fact Nathan Wade and Fani Willis are disqualified to prosecute the case, the end result is the case is going to be pushed out. I guarantee you at least another 2 years. And so you got to admit, fantastic move by the Republican to undercover something like this, because this is, out of all the cases that Donald Trump is facing, this is probably the most critical case. Also, there's been a lot of conversation about the amount of money that's been paid Nathan Wade as far as $600,000. I'm frankly surprised it's not $6 million. Special prosecutors can charge anywhere from $500 to $1,000 an hour. Now, admittedly, a lot of municipalities have caps. Like here in the city of Chicago, $295 is the most you can charge, but still, you can make your money up in a number of hours. Yes, it's a high-profile case, and so someone will take the $295 an hour, or probably in the Fulton County area, it's a lot less because the cost of living is cheap because of the profile, the case, and then it's going to be on a TV in terms of that. But that number in of itself is not what Nathan Wade made. That would be what his team has billed to date. And frankly, by the time it's all said and done, once the trial starts, that number's going to quadruple, because now it becomes 24/7. They're going to eat and sleep this case because this is the type of case that's going to be on TV. And so that money is not necessarily a big issue as far as this case is concerned, the amount he's getting paid. Special prosecutors will have a huge bill at the end of a trial. That is particularly common as far as that is concerned. So, but nevertheless, there are a lot of other qualified individuals who could have taken the case. And because of the importance of the case and how it may influence the election, it was best to hire someone, in fact, that didn't have at least a perception of a conflict of interest. And that would have been really important. So, and we'll see what happens. And we'll see, and if she's disqualified from being the prosecutor, then someone else would have to come on board. That would slow down. Then they would have to select another special prosecution. So it will take another 2 years or more for this case to get back on track. And so there is a hearing on March 1st in the court to determine, for testimony to determine whether or not there is a conflict of interest and whether or not she should be disqualified, Fani Willis and subsequent Nathan Wade. So we'll wait and see what happens. But doesn't necessarily look good, but good luck. And so until next time, this is Justice Unveiled.
Luxury Productions.